just 2 colors to get started, and I am going to use fast drying white and transparent iron oxide. Let's get the white out. The first thing I'm going to do is draw in the frame lines. We don't want the top of his ear to come up higher than here. And he's got his head tilted. And now I'm measuring his head and using that measurement to come up with the correct proportions for the body. His body is 2 times the head. His outer paw would be right here. And then this is where his back comes in. He's a little couch potato. I see an indent there, and the same thing here. A jowl here. Okay, and then his another chest bone. And the other. This part here I have to make up or look at another photograph. As I get ready to draw in his first eye, I am comparing its location to the space between the ear and the top of the eye for proper placement. And almost the same thing with the second eye. I am looking for the space between the ears and the top of the eye. And notice that I'm trying to keep mindful of the tilt of his head. And now I'm just starting to indicate the markings of his fur pattern. All of this involves looking for and drawing shapes. Always looking for shapes. And here I'm putting a place mark for his other leg. Now it doesn't really show up in the photograph that I'm working with, but I know it's there and I want to suggest that it's there just for proper structure. I need to make another adjustment to this other ear. And I know at this stage his face looks very rough. It just doesn't look like it should. However, I'm just kind of making marks, almost like just like a road map. It is not by no means anywhere near finished. Once I start blocking in, I will see shapes better. So I did take a pause here for the client to approve this composition. She understands that this is by no means finished because I right away said, don't panic. Because, if I was paying somebody to do a portrait and they showed me something like this, I definitely would panic. However, here we are several hours later, and it's really not coming together. And you're going to see that I'm just going to give up on this and start over. Okay, here we are at the point when I decide we need to start over. Ready? You know what? I'm taking the face off. I can't do this. I just can't do this. I'm taking... Yep, folks, we're starting over. So, I'll leave the body there. But I'm not dilly farting with this face anymore. Now, what I'm going to do, I'm going to start all over again. One thing to notice right away is how much larger I'm making the ears. And I am widening up the head a bit. And I'm doing a final drawing adjustment on this one ear. I took out the line with some background color. I don't know if you can see that, but if you look closely, you'll see that there's a paler color around the line of the ear. Now, this can be considered a very difficult phase of a painting, and lucky for me, I have 30 years painting experience, so I am not necessarily overwhelmed by these adjustments. I want to do the best job I can for the client, and I will not let something go out that I'm not 100% happy about catching a real good likeness. As I'm blocking in these eyes, the eye area, I did have to use a different photo reference. Now, she sent me several photos, but to get the eyes, I had to use a different reference, and you'll see at the end. And now we're going to start our block in with the darkest darks. And because I see shapes easier than lines, doing it this way will make sure that I have the eyes established correctly. In other words, in the right spot. So you can see I'm putting in the next value. And the reason why you want to start with your darkest dark is because then you can judge values better. And values say it all. And the next value up, I'm not sure if this is a white spot or just the way the light is hitting it. But for now, we'll just put it in like that. Thinking more about scraping off the face earlier, in my 30 years painting experience, I want folks to know that I went through all kinds of stages during that first 30 years, especially the first 10 years. Terrible emotional distress, just like any artist. You know, it's hard earned. See, what I'm doing is instead of um, doing every little line in detail, I'm trying to find shapes and work with shapes. Now I think you are noticing some glare, and that got in the way. I lost some very good footage because of the glare. So this is going to be a shortened video, but you will see enough pictures of the finished product. Here you notice me outlining the ear with a lighter color. That is actually part of the ear. It seems like the tips of his ears or just around the ear is much lighter than the rest of his body. And here you can see I'm struggling with glare, and that is why I keep moving my panel. It was pretty severe. My plan is to come in, just make sure everything's lining up the right way with these darker colors here. Now I want to make sure that the brush work is a little softer than it's appearing here. So let's just soften that up. Because I adjusted the size of the head and the ears, I now have to adjust the neckline. I've already got a mistake here. So let's correct it. that he comes down around more like this, right through here. I'm going to take this off too. Because it's okay, and then okay, I have him laid in correctly. About getting a little bit more of a color here to make sure that I'm not getting confused anywhere here. Now this may or may not stay this way, I don't know. Here is the eyes, and these next shots are the finished piece. I'm sorry about losing the footage. I couldn't use it because of the intense glare. And here's his cute face.